Hey everyone, this is Sarah with sewingpartsonline.com. I'm going to show you how to install and use the ruffler foot, as well as some of the features it has to offer. So this is the ruffler foot, and it is a little crazy looking, but it is also very cool. What it does is it basically pleats your fabric, and it gives you 3 different options of the size of pleat that you want, and it also does a straight stitch if you want that too. And what it's going to do is it pulls your fabric through these grooves and uses this to push it under and pleat it. So to install it, we're going to put this right here onto the needle holder and this opening onto the shank screw. So first, let's take off the foot that you already have off, or the foot you already have on, including the shank. Take that off and move it out of the way. And first, I like to wiggle it onto the needle holder first. Once you have it on there, go ahead and slide it onto the screw. And make sure to get it on nice and tight because this does have a lot of movement to it. And there you go, installed. So this is kind of like the setting tab for a ruffler foot. We have a star, a 12, a 6, and a 1. And what this means is how many stitches are in between each pleat. This is 12 stitches between each pleat, 6 stitches between each pleat, and this is a pleat every single stitch. So more ruffles, less ruffles, and the star is a straight stitch, no ruffles at all. And if you want to adjust this even further, you can adjust your stitch length. So if I had a longer stitch length on a 1 versus a shorter stitch length on a 1, the pleats would be a different size. If I have a 12 and my straight stitch is at maybe a 2.5, they're going to be closer together than at a 5.0 stitch length. So this is where you can further adjust your settings for your ruffler foot. So now that we have it installed, I'm going to show you how we're going to insert the fabric. For the ruffled fabric, because this has the option of doing one flat piece of fabric and then ruffling at the same time and attaching them, similar to like a gathering foot. So what we do for our ruffled fabric is we're going to do over this, under this, over this, and through. So we'll go over the first little bump, under the second one, and over the third one. See if I can. And then we pull it through underneath these little claws right here. And that's how we get it started. So we're just going to sew a few stitches just to get this to push the fabric through. So to get it started, it pulled it right through for us and it's completely in place. This first one we're going to do is on the 1 setting with a stitch length of 5. Now the stitch length will also determine how far in between your pleats are going to be. So it's on a 5 right now and it's on the first setting of a 1, and you can see that it's going to pleat every single stitch. It's going to pleat. Now if I change it to a 6, it's going to do every 6 stitches. And if I switch it to a 12, it'll do every 12th stitch will be a pleat. and a star will be a completely straight stitch. There'll be no ruffling at all. Now with this, you don't really want to back stitch, so go ahead and when you're finished, bring your stitch length to a 0. So a couple stitches to lock in the thread, and you're finished. And you can see here, we have a variety of functions. We can do nice, tight pleats, a little far in between for every 6 stitches, and then even more for every 12. And as you can see right here, look how long the stitch length is. If you make this shorter, the pleats will be even closer together. So with the ruffler foot, we can attach 2 pieces of fabric. We can attach a straight piece of fabric and a ruffled piece of fabric. So for the straight piece of fabric, we're going to go over this one, under this one, and all the way through, underneath the presser foot. So I'll try to show you how to do this without getting my hand in the way. Underneath this one, like that, and then pull it all the way through, underneath the presser foot as far as you can go, like this. And then you're going to take your other one, which will be the ruffled fabric, and this part is tricky. What you want to do is install the fabric the same way you did, when you're just showing the one piece, but you have to try not to mess up the bottom piece. So have it over, under, and pull it through as best as you can without messing up the fabric that's underneath. So let's try to straighten it out, get it nice and lined up. There we go, that's good. Now when you're doing this, the fabric has a tendency to shift off. And if that happens, they won't be attached right. So you want to make sure that the top and bottom fabric are lined up correctly. It's going to give you about a little less than a 1/4 inch seam. So we have everything nice. I can see from my end that my blue and my green are lined up. They're lined up on the inside grooves nicely, and they shouldn't shift out of place. For demonstrations, I'm going to keep this on the setting of the ruffler on a 1. And here we go. So you're going to have to help guide both fabrics to keep them together. You can pin them if you want to keep some pins over here to help you, but just try to hold on to them and sew slowly until you're comfortable. This top fabric is going to be shoved under faster than this bottom fabric. It's okay if you have to stop and start to readjust. That's okay. Just make sure that the green fabric and the blue fabric are lined up. We're almost finished. You just go ahead and pull it out from underneath the foot. And there, you can see it's attached and ruffled at the same time and looks amazing. So that was the ruffler foot. To purchase your ruffler foot, visit us at sewingpartsonline.com or check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/sewingpartsonline.